Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got some good racing this week at York. There are, it's the Ebor Festival. I think we've got racing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. And there will be selections for some of those races. And we're going to look at tomorrow's. Now obviously the first race is the first race of the day at York. So the ratings are open for everybody. You can see all of the stats for all of the horses. And that's always the case with the first race of the day. Also, don't forget to get involved in the Nat competition. We are doing a York special. We're going to put up another £50 for the winner. And a winner's mug, we'll send you one of those as well. All you've got to do, to qualify, you must select at least one horse per day at York. You don't have to do all three, but at least one. And then the overall top scorer from those horses at York will win the cash and the winner's mug. And that's always free to get involved in, obviously. So let's start off looking at the 150, the 5.5 furlong handicap. And you can see the two that I like in this race. I've got them highlighted. They are Democracy Dilemma and JM Jungle. So let's start off in order here. Let's go with Democracy Dilemma. Why do I like this horse? Well, the owners actually won this race last year with Equilateral. And to be honest, if Equilateral had turned back up, surely would have gone really close. Again to winning it. Equilateral was running off, I'm just going to find out, when the horse won last year, it ran off a mark of 105 and won it quite nicely, although it was a real bunch finish with Alligator Alley, JM Jungle, Mackinac travelled into it really well. Equilateral could have run here off at 103, a £2 lower mark. You would have gone, surely they've just plotted to come back for this race. Now, Equilateral doesn't run, but Fitri Hayes' horse Democracy Dilemma takes his chance instead, and I think he's got a great chance. Finished third recently at York in a listed event behind Starlust and Rogue Lightning. Now, if you watch the race, Democracy Dilemma was surely a pacemaker for Starlust. They wanted to get Starlust a listed win under his belt and then kick on. And, you know, he went so hard, Democracy Dilemma, from the front, and only just lost second late on. Losing that to Rogue Lightning, who was the second favourite that day. Beat everything else, including Corker, who would have loved that sort of run. And you would have looked at Corker in this race if he'd turned up. Democracy Dilemma, like his other previous efforts this season, being beaten by, or even beating Copper Knight at Chester, that's a very good run. Being beaten by Dream Composer in the dash at the Epsom, another very good run. Dream Composer has come out and won again since recently, winning at Pontefract. Had also finished third in a handicap, fourth in a handicap. You know, the form of that run or that horse had shown that wasn't a fluke. Democracy Dilemma just needs to get it slightly better timing. Rosser just needs to wait another couple of strides before trying to kick on. And if he can, I think he's going to go very close in this race. And the Hayes could certainly win this race again. I think it's interesting that they're prepared to run another high-class horse in this race. They've done it with Equilateral. They've obviously won handicaps before, off like top weight. Democracy Dilemma runs off 104. Last year, their winner ran off 105. So they're happy to run these horses in the handicaps, and I think Democracy Dilemma will go very close here. The second horse that definitely catches my eye is JM Jungle. Now, as I've just said, I liked Equilateral in this race if he turned up, off a £2 lower mark. Well, on the basis of that, I would have had to have gone, well, you've got to like JM Jungle then, off a £5 lower mark. £5, £4. £4 lower mark. Only beaten a neck and a head in third, didn't get the clearest of runs, and if you actually watch the race, all of the pace was over the far side. Where Equilateral was in, Alligator Rally was in that group. All of the pace over there didn't, JM Jungle did the best of those drawn the near side. And I think if he'd been over that far side, I think JM Jungle probably would have won. That came off a mark of 92, runs here off a mark of 88. I think he's going to run a huge race, to be honest. Some of his efforts recently have been quite good as well, including his 7th at York, only beaten 3 lengths. that came over 5 furlongs. If it had been over 5.5, would have ended up a lot closer. And again, that came off a mark of 93, now off 88, £5 lower mark, half a furlong further, beaten in some decent races recently, and yet has been running well. I think his effort at the Curragh was a very good effort in the Rockingham, and even at Goodwood in that handicap, that was a decent effort when fifth, when probably made a little bit too much, went slightly too far forward. Just sit him in just behind the pace, and I think JM Jungle's going to run a really big race there. And we're actually not too bad a price with both of these. They are JM Jungle, you can get 10s, and Democracy Dilemma, you can get 12s. I'm quite happy with both of them. Moving on to the 225 at York. I've had a look at this race, the Acomb Stakes, the Group 3. It looks between the top two in the market, doesn't it? I mean, prices make that obvious as well. If we just load up the odds for this, what is it? It's 18 to 1 bar 2. And it looks between those two. But I can't split them. I don't know who I like the most. Aidan doesn't really have a great record in this race, but neither does Godolphin, and neither does Charlie Appleby. But I'm kind of a little bit concerned for both of them going forward in terms of the previous winners of this race. They've not really gone on to do that much. Was it Caldine or Chaldine, however you pronounce that, right? That horse. Okay, he did go on and win a Guineas, but then didn't go on after that. And I'd be worried about these two going forward on that basis, that maybe Aidan O'Brien and Charlie Appleby are going, we're going to run them in the Acomb Stakes, but they're not our best 2-year-old, and they're not our Guineas horse for next year even. So I'm going to leave this race alone and just watch it basically and see who does come out on top. Moving on to the 3 o'clock, the Voltigeur, and this is a St Leger trial for Aidan O'Brien, isn't it? He's running Los Angeles here to see if he stays or if he'll want the 1 mile 6. He definitely wants the 1 mile 6 for me, Los Angeles, and he'd be even better over 1 mile 6. I do believe that for Illinois as well. Euphoric is in this race to go forward, to set a strong pace, and almost for Aidan O'Brien to find out which is his best horse for 1 mile and 6. I do believe over this trip it will be Los Angeles. Illinois might beat Los Angeles if it had been running over, say, 1 mile and 5, 1 mile and 6, with the £2 pull, and the Illinois is a definite stay. But over 1 mile and 4, whilst Los Angeles will get the 1 mile and 6, and I'm sure he'll go to the St Leger, I kind of feel he's the one that will win over this trip as well. I'm not totally taken by King's Gambit, to be honest. Now, he was obviously the eye catcher at Royal Ascot. He was very frustrating, not winning the Hampton Court. But then he went to York and got beat again. You know, he's been beaten by group horses, Group 3 and Group 2. I think Los Angeles is a deserved Group 1 horse. Yeah, I think he'll end up in the St Leger. He's won the Irish Derby. He was third in the English Derby behind Ambient Friendly and City of Troy, who are, you know, proper Group 1 horses. Yeah, I kind of don't totally get why King's Gambit is so close in the market, to be honest. I would have Los Angeles a bit shorter than he is even. Let's have a look. What is he currently? 6 to 4. I think that's too big, personally. I think I'll have him odds on Los Angeles. Before heading on to the St Leger. Obviously, Aidan's won this a couple of times with, who did he win it with? Continuous, and another horse that I'm sure went on to probably even win the Guineas, win the St Leger. But yeah, I think Los Angeles is the best horse in this race, and King's Gambit is good. He can win Group 3s and Group 2s, but maybe not against Group 1 horses, which I think Los Angeles is. Moving on to the 335, the Juddmonte International. Now, I'm not going to have a bet in this race because I do think City of Troy is too short. But I don't really know where I would go other than that. I don't know who I would be looking at apart from City of Troy. Probably Calandagan. That was a very, very impressive win at Royal Ascot, beating Space Legend in the Group 2. But yeah, I want to leave this race alone and save my money for another race. which could be the 410. We've got our Goodwood Eyecatcher of the meeting here in Knightswood. Go back and watch Knightswood effort at Goodwood. I think he would have won. I really do. I think he would have won if he'd not run into the back of his stablemate, Align the Stars. The form of that race is spot on. Align the Stars, Fairbanks, Great Bedouin, Yukon Glen. I think they're the right 4 horses in front of him. But I think Knightswood should have beaten them. Steps up a little bit further in trip. Yeah, I can understand that. Even his previous effort behind Fairbanks and Badge D'Or, again, that was a very, very good run. Yeah, I'm really, really confident of a huge run here from Knightswood, and he's a bigger price than I thought he would be. He's going to get he is getting back now, unfortunately. 8s. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, if he went a favourite, even ahead of the Gordon Elliott trained Samui. Or yeah, I'm going to say Samui. Yeah, I think he should definitely go off a shorter price than Great Bedouin for sure. And I think he'll go off favourite, to be honest, at Knightswood. If I'm not quite right there in the he would have won at Goodwood, you can't get away from Forza Orta. Forza Orta won this race last year off 86, runs off 84. I mean, some of his efforts this year haven't been that bad. He's never really had the going and the trip in his favour. He went 2 mile 2 for a Chester Cup. Probably too far. Still ran okay, finished 8th, only beaten 4 and a bit lengths. He then went on soft ground, you can ignore that at Haydock. He went on the all-weather, you can ignore that. Then he went to Goodwood. Didn't run great at Goodwood over 2 mile. Over 1 mile and 6. Maybe that was too short for him. But he's coming back to York, and he's got some really good form at York. He has got a win in this race. He finished 7th of 15, beating 3 lengths in the Skybet race to the Ebor over 1 mile and 4. He's won over 1 mile and 4, and he's finished 2nd to Garci in the mile and 4 race again, an Ebor trial essentially. So he's got some really good form here. 2nd, 2 wins, and only 1 disappointing effort. That disappointing effort, as I said, probably came over a trip too short, and it was over. To be fair, it was £3 higher than what he's running off. He was only beating 3 and a bit lengths. The York specialist is Forza Orta, and he's a decent price at. You can currently get 12 to 1 about him. I think he might go off a little bit shorter, but I do think Knightswood will go off favourite. But they are the 2 that I'm going to be backing in this race. Moving on to the 445, the Fillies Handicap. You can see who I like in this race, and I'm going to stick with Designer, to be honest. What price is Designer now? I mean, he's still able to get 11 to 1 about Designer. Won this race for the last 2 years. Okay, coming back here on seasonal debut. They wouldn't be running here if they didn't think she was ready. And I think they would have gone, let's find somewhere else, rather than wasting her really good record at York. She won this race off 87. She's won this race off 92. She runs here off 96, but Brandon Wilkie actually takes £5 off. Essentially means he's running off 91. Well, if she's running off 91, last year she beat Rage of Bambi off 92, why would she not be able to go really close? And obviously Rage of Bambi was a winner recently at York. Off 99, demonstrating that form was probably very good form. 2nd to Designer, then went to York and won off 99. So that horse can win off a £1 lower mark. Designer could certainly win off a couple of pound higher mark if we're taking into account the official rating. If we're taking into account the jockey's rating, the horse is actually off a £1, the jockey's claim, sorry. The horse is actually running off a £1 lower mark. It's had the wind up. It's had wind surgery. It's got the tongue tie on. Won last year at 5s. Won the year before at 14s. Beat Pink Crystal, who we really liked that day. I think that was both the efforts have been really good, strong bits of form, and a reproduction here from Designer. I think she will go very close again, and you can currently get 11 to 1 about her. And finally, we move on to the 520. Who do I like here? Artagnan. Is that how you say it? I think it's is it an old wartime, not a wartime, like medieval name, isn't it? Arsenyang? I don't really know. Yeah, I'm not deserting this horse. Won a big handicap at Goodwood, won a big nursery at Goodwood of 76. Yes, up £7 to 83. I don't think that'll be enough. I think the horse is very good. I think these owners, they haven't been missing really, have they, with their plans. Looked like was very cleverly campaigned. Came there 6-4 favourite in a novice race. Clearly Carl Burke fancied the horse. Didn't quite work, but then next time they ran at Ascot in a listed race. They then got the qualifying run with a £7 claimer on, so obviously they could use that as the excuse why it didn't run to its best. Then went up in trip, went to Goodwood and won. So they've got plenty of reasons. A stronger jockey up to 6 furlongs. They had plenty of reasons why that horse was going to. They were going to get away with the sudden improvement. We've got James Doyle taking over from David Egan. I think Artagnan will go very, very close here, to be honest, at York. And we can currently get... Let's have a look what price we can get about Artagnan. You can currently get 7 to 1 about Artagnan. And I think Artagnan is the horse to beat here. So they are my selections for tomorrow. A quick recap. In the 150, I like Democracy Dilemma. For the same owners who won it last year. Just needs to make his effort half a furlong later. JM Jungle was also unlucky last year in this race when finishing third off a lower mark this year. If he's drawn in the right place, I think he'll go very close. 225, I want to leave that alone. 3 o'clock at York, I think Los Angeles is the best horse. I think he's the Group 1 horse in the race, and I think he will stay, which Euphoric is surely in this race to make sure it becomes a St Ledger trial. 335, I think City of Troy wins, but I'm leaving it alone. 410, Knightswood was my Goodwood Eyecatcher, probably of the whole meeting. I think he would have won last time. The step up and trip should be no issues for him whatsoever. Forza Water, back to the race that he won last year, off a lower mark, is the biggest danger, I think. He loves York. Designer, back to try and win this race for the 3rd consecutive year. Brandon Wilkie taking 5 off his very eye-catching. John Butler wouldn't be wasting her in this race. I think he would have left her in a lower class race if he could have, if she wasn't ready to run a big race. And finally, Artagnan in the last race. They know what to do with him now. Over 6 furlongs, I think they could go and win a couple of races here before ending up in listed and group races.